mindfulness-based stress reduction orientation video. My name is Jessica Frank. I am the Biological Medicine Program Manager at the Marion Institute, and I'm also a certified mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher. And so today I'm hoping that this video will help you get a sense of what to expect from the mindfulness-based stress reduction course and help prepare you for making the choice of whether or not to take the course. So you can think of this video as being kind of divided into 5 different sections. The first section is a short practice that you and I will do together. Next, I'll talk about the history of mindfulness-based stress reduction. I'll talk also a little bit about the definitions of mindfulness and meditation. We'll talk a lot about what to expect from the course, sort of the nuts and bolts of MBSR. And finally, a few considerations that you might want to think about before starting in on the MBSR course. So let's do a short practice together. No matter what sort of posture you're in, if you're sitting, standing, lying down, whatever it happens to be, you might simply let your eyes close or let your gaze soften. And sort of just perhaps listening to the sound of my voice and not necessarily focusing on one thing in particular. And so you might become aware of the space that you're in, some sounds that you might be hearing in your space. You might even become aware of smells. And you might also be aware of your body in the position it's in or the posture. And at some point, you might also know that your mind is thinking. Thoughts are coming and going. But see if you can kind of direct your attention or maybe perhaps move your awareness so that you can feel your body breathing. You're breathing right now in this moment as well. It's not often that we focus on our breath, even though it happens sort of in the background all day long. And it's fine to maybe sense the breath in the span of the chest. You might feel it in the belly. You might even notice it in the nostrils. So just right now, in this moment, right here, focusing on the breath. You might even sense it in the shoulders, or perhaps even right above the upper lip, a flow of air. And you might also now notice that the mind has wandered again, which is fine. That is simply what the mind does. All brains think. And so when that happens and we become aware of it, that is actually really the key moment of mindfulness, is choosing what to do next so we can return our focus or sort of escorting our mind back to the breath that's already happening in our bodies. The one that you feel right now. The one that you feel right now. And so that is essentially the practice of mindfulness. So if this is your first time meditating, then congratulations, you did it. This is the foundation of MBSR, taking our present moment awareness and expanding upon that. And so let me go into the history of MBSR. Back in 1979, a man by the name of Jon Kabat-Zinn, who was a biologist and studying in UMass Medical School. He was also a practitioner of yoga and mindfulness on his own. And what he decided to try is that he was aware that mindfulness and meditation and yoga and these contemplative practices that he was doing were kind of based in the foundation of relieving suffering. And so he thought while he was there at the UMass School of Medicine studying in this format, he knew that there was a lot of suffering around him. He had this revolutionary idea of bringing and teaching these contemplative practices of awareness, meditation, and mindfulness into this environment. And from 1979, he established the Center for Mindfulness, and it has now been taught all over the world. It has been taught to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people globally, internationally, in all different environments. You'll see MBSR being taught not just in hospitals and clinics, but also in schools, in corporate environments, and to underserved populations and communities mostly at risk. Meditation is also taught in prisons and to groups of people who experience quite a bit of suffering, and still the impact is profound. And so let me define the term mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness can be described as moment-to-moment non-judgmental awareness. Jon Kabat-Zinn's working definition of mindfulness is paying attention on purpose to the present moment non-judgmentally. So quite a few components there of what mindfulness is. So let's break it down. Moment-to-moment non-judgmental awareness. So moment-to-moment. We literally only have moments to live. We can only live in this one. Our minds are really skilled at thinking ahead into the future and reflecting back into the past. And sometimes that's really helpful, actually. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. It can become a bad thing if it takes you out of what it is that you're presently experiencing. And it becomes rumination, or it becomes something along the lines of living in the past, essentially, and not actually living in the present. And so moment to moment, this moment is the one we're living in, and mindfulness helps us expand out that area, essentially widening the bandwidth of now, so that we can spend more time in the present moment and less time reverse thinking in the past, or forward thinking in the future, and worrying, rumination and worry. So the non-judgmental part, yes, let's break that down too. So our minds are really also very skilled at judgment, wanting more of one thing if it's pleasant, and maybe perhaps wanting less of something else if it's unpleasant. So pushing things away to get rid of something that's negative or stressful, and wanting more, pulling in and gravitating towards the things that are pleasant and joyful, and experiencing pleasure. So for better or for worse, we're going to have both in our lives. We're going to have the pleasant things, and we're going to have the unpleasant things. And so how can we meet those with more balance, more harmony, more equanimity as they come around, as they arise, all on their own? There are certain ways in which we can position ourselves to experience more pleasant things, or maybe even position ourselves to not experience certain things at all if we choose to. But life is going to do what life is going to do, and things will show up unexpectedly. And so a mindfulness practice will help strengthen our capacity to be with the present moment, regardless of what shows up for us. And so that's the non-judgmental portion of the definition of mindfulness. And so the last part, the awareness part, the third portion, this is the what of mindfulness. We develop this knowing of being in the present moment, whether judgment is happening. The foundation of mindfulness is this cultivation of awareness, to see what's actually here, what's actually happening, Not the what we think should happen or the thing that we wish doesn't happen, but simply the actual experience of the present moment, the what is truly here for us right now. This is awareness, and this is what we cultivate with mindfulness. So again, just to revisit the definition of mindfulness: paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, or simply put, moment to moment, non-judgmental awareness. And it sounds simple, and it is. It's simple in theory, but it can be difficult in practice. And so having simple but not easy be a mantra kind of is the underpinning of MBSR, simple but not easy. So that is why courses like this and programs like this exist. They exist to help us cultivate and grow and develop and strengthen our capacity for present moment non-judgmental awareness. It simply is difficult, especially in our culture today of distraction, of technology, of the attention economy. All of these things detract from this innate capacity for present moment awareness. And so we need help. We might need some help practicing this, and that is what MBSR does. So the next part of our defining mindfulness is to define mindfulness versus meditation. Meditation is the practice. It's the means by which we become mindful. You can think of that as perhaps similar to lifting weights in order to become more physically fit. So the goal is physical fitness, and so the means to achieve that goal is through lifting weights or exercise or running or something like that. So this is the way we cultivate present moment awareness in MBSR. So mindfulness meditation, you'll see those two words and hear those two words put together, mindfulness meditation. It is the type of meditation that we practice in MBSR in order to strengthen and deepen our capacity to be mindful. So now moving into the fifth section, what to expect in an MBSR course. It's first to know that this course is highly experiential. That is the word of the day. So the vast majority of our time in class is practicing, actually doing these mindfulness exercises. We spend about 2/3 of each class each week in practices like meditation, formal meditation, and also mindful movement, which is simple yoga postures. We also do practices like mindful walking, exercises in mindful eating, mindful communication, and various other forms of practice that arise. So the focus is on this development, this strengthening of the capacity to becoming mindful. A smaller component of each class is didactic or educational in the form of presentations that I do or lectures that I give, and they are in service to support the work that we do in our practice. So they are small and short, and they are valuable information that talks about the way stress affects our body, the way mindfulness can mediate stressors, the way our autonomic nervous system responds to stress, and how to apply mindfulness tools and skills in our everyday life. So they're components that support the work that we do when we're practicing our meditation. Another significant portion of the class is dedicated to discussion, kind of a dialogue of sorts, where the participants in the class share how each mindfulness practice feels in their own body and in their own experience. This is interactive. This is the interactive component of the course. And so this isn't group therapy. In other words, nobody's put on the spot. Names are not called upon. It's strictly voluntary. You can take MBSR and for 8 weeks never say anything. That's okay. But it is encouraged that you participate in the dialogue and discussion. It makes for a very rich experience in the course. And what we're looking for when we have the dialogue and discussion portions in the class is more about how the experience felt for you in that in the moment, and less about the storytelling of maybe how you arrived to feel a certain way or to have a habit, and more about what's truly arising, what's truly in the present moment for you. And so we want to know your direct experience, what we call practice-focused comments, rather than storytelling. We want to hear, how did that meditation go for you? What difficulty may have arisen for you in that practice? Were you able to sit with an experience that was agitating or challenging for you? And if so, how? And were you able to stay present with the experience, perhaps cultivate a different relationship with it? So that's the way we dialogue, and that's the way we have our discussions in MBSR, and that's helpful to know. So just to reiterate those components of class, so primarily the vast majority is in practice with mindfulness meditations of all kinds. And then also the second component, less of that, is the didactic presentations. And then a larger component is the in interactivity, the interactions and conversations that we'll have with each other. So there are some considerations to make when we are doing a class like this in front of a Zoom. First and foremost, think of your space, the space that you want to practice in or attend in. You might need to find a room that you could close the door. You might like to find a space where you can lie down on the floor and have enough room to perhaps unroll a yoga mat and stretch out. So you can consider your space. It doesn't have to be quiet. We're not practicing in hermetically sealed environments when we practice meditation anyway. So it's fine to have a pet. It's fine to have other life aspects show up for you in your class. That's all fine. In addition, you would like to maybe show up to your Zoom space a few minutes early just to prepare and take care of your own bodily needs beforehand. Maybe dress in comfortable layers in case you feel hot or cold throughout the class. Some people will find the idea of being in front of a screen for 2.5 hours quite daunting, but no, there's a lot of flexibility there. You're free to stand up, you're free to sit down, you're free to move your body, you're free to stretch. If you're getting some eye strain or fatigue, like I said, to simply turn away or look away, and that's completely fine. We do invite you to keep your camera on during the course, during the class itself. It just creates a sense of community, and it creates a sense of safety for those other participants in the room too. And you can step out at any time, but we just ask that you leave your camera on unless there's something happening and you don't want your camera on for it. But for in general, we're saying that we're going to come into this room with our cameras on, and if at all possible, keep them on for the duration. There are no formal breaks, so during class, take care of yourself. It's a practice of meeting your needs, listening to your body, and this is a theme we woven throughout the course. The technology requirements for taking the live online MBSR course are to have a desktop computer or a laptop. It's best to participate that way. It's also best to have a high-speed internet connection and the latest software download of Zoom. Those are the components that you'll need for the tech side of things. And that is because the inclusion of the room, having all the people in the room, doesn't sometimes fit on a tablet or a mobile device. And we do use the chat function, and we will also use other types of engagement like breakout rooms and things of that nature on Zoom. So it's helpful to use a computer or a larger screen. The course is 8 sessions long plus 1 day of retreat style practice called the all day. And that's held mostly in silence. We meet every week for roughly 2.5 hours each week, and you'll want to check the online schedule to see what's upcoming, the spring MBSR as well as the fall MBSR. So typically between weeks 6 and 7 is the all-day practice, and this is a retreat style practice. Typically we hold those on a Saturday, and it is a way that you can apply all of the various practices that we learn throughout up to that week 6, and really combine them and practice them in one continuous way. It is often referred to as a gift for those who have completed it. Daunting at first, intimidating at first, but then once it's over, a real treat, a real gift. It's not often that we can set aside all of our to-dos and roles for an entire day and simply listen to our bodies continuously, listen to our hearts and listen to our minds. So it can be approached as kind of an oasis in the middle of your busy life where you don't have to take care of anyone else but yourself. Another aspect of MBSR that's quite important is the work that you do on your own. So I'm sure you've read all about the studies of mindfulness-based stress reduction and MBSR having powerful effects in helping increase the quality of life, decrease various symptoms and maladaptive behaviors, and generally helping to shift your life in a positive way. And this is based upon people who take this course, but most importantly, how they practice at home, how much time and energy they're investing on their own. And so what happens in between the classes, you weave in the practices that we do weekly. And in this way, we have an at-home component of 4 guided audio recordings, 4 meditations that you use, that you listen to. And each meditation, each guided audio recording is 45 minutes in duration. And you'll listen to that once a day and practice. They vary from movement practice. There's 2 movement practices that are 45 minutes in duration. One called a body scan, that's 45 minutes in duration, and another that's a general audio meditation, mindfulness meditation that you can do in any posture. And so these components, this 45 minutes plus a few other practices that we have in the course that's for home practice, those add up to about an average of 45 to 60 minutes each day. And so I recognize that not everybody has a spare 45 minutes to 60 minutes of time lying around on their calendar every day. So we do ask a lot. And but the reward is there. There's a correlation between the amount of time you put into this course and practice with the amount of benefit that you reap. So there is certainly that to consider. And so it will be difficult. It will be challenging. Things will come up, but it will be worth it. It may be that you set out bound and determined at the very beginning that you're going to practice religiously 45 minutes per day, but then life arises and you might not get to it, or you might only get to 30 minutes, or you might have to piece some practice together from the morning and then piece it together with practice in the evening. And all of that is fine. You might recognize that if you try to attempt to weave this mindfulness practice into your life, and you are noticing these subtle shifts in your life and your relationships, then you're more inclined to want to do it more and more. And little by little, you can find your way into a regular formal practice of mindfulness meditation, and one that works with your schedule. And that's the unique aspect of having this class being led live online, is that you're actually doing it, integrating it into your life while you take the course. And so that's really unique in that way. So that's the content of the course and the nuts and bolts of the course. And in order for you to feel confident in my capabilities, I'd like to share with you my background in mindfulness meditation. In addition to my full-time position here at the Marian Institute as manager of the Biomed program, I began a mindfulness and yoga practice in the mid-2000s, eventually earning a 500-hour training certificate in mindful yoga and meditation from Spirit Rock Meditation Center in 2016. And while I trained at Spirit Rock, I began my path to MBSR facilitation at the UMass Medical Center, Center for Mindfulness at UMass in 2013, and began teaching my first 8-week MBSR course in 2015, fulfilling the teaching requirements by 2018, and becoming a certified teacher through Brown University's Mindfulness Center in 2020. I have taught over 15 courses now at 15 cycles of MBSR. You can know that I have a very strong, dedicated daily mindfulness meditation practice formally, and that I also have a movement practice of my own as well that I do every day. And I have sat on annual or biannual silent retreats every year for the past 10 years. So just know that one cannot teach mindfulness if one is not practicing mindfulness. And so that's a bit about my background. And you'll know also that I am available for you during the time in between our sessions. I am here to support your practice. It's my goal, my desire to help support you in this class. And so feel free to reach out to me if you're struggling or if you have a challenge that arises during your at-home practice. You'll have access to my email and you'll have access to my cell phone so that you can reach out to me if you have any questions whatsoever during practice. So know that you're not on your own in between our classes together. You'll know that also your fellow students will also be practicing similar to you on their own as well. And so there's a little bit of that camaraderie that arises from our shared practice together. My goal is to support you as best that I can. And so you don't have to navigate those challenges alone. And if you're not comfortable bringing up something in class, that's great to know that you can bring it up later after class or in between class as well. I also ask that you please reach out to me if you're not able to take a class, if you can't make it. I like to know in advance if you're not going to be there, because I do expect everyone to be there, so it's nice to know if you're not going to be there, and that's fine. If you're going to miss a class unexpectedly, that's okay. Just let me know in advance. If you know at this moment that you cannot take, let's say, 2 out of the 8 classes, you can speak with me one-on-one about that if you'd like. It depends on which classes that you're going to miss, but it might be okay still to take the course. It depends. And so meet with me one-on-one to discuss that. Or if you find it might be better just to have that continuity of practice, you might want to wait and take it when you can take all 8 classes. I do my best to send you any relevant content that you may have missed if you do miss a class, but know that each class is not recorded and I'm not able to share the class with you from start to finish, in other words. So you will miss some of it. And so if you're trying now to decide if MBSR is right for you and you're thinking, I don't know if I can meditate, my mind is too busy, that's actually a really good reason to take the course. MBSR teaches us that there's a different way to be with a distracted mind. There is a different way to be with stress. There's a different way to experience grief and loss. There's a different way to experience that which we typically turn away from and typically want less of, and that is mindfulness. And that is how we can be skillful in our experiences and skillful in our communication and essentially show up for the full catastrophe, as Jon Kabat-Zinn famously titled his book Full Catastrophe Living, that this course is based on. So what happens now then? So perhaps you have made up your mind and you'd like to take the course. So navigate over to Marian Institute's website, www.marianinstitute.org. click on the MBSR course button, and that will take you to an intro page, and then click register or sign up, learn more, and then from there go ahead and click the button to purchase. And after that, you'll get a questionnaire. The questionnaire is an opportunity, and it fulfills a requirement of the course for me to learn a little bit about you particularly, and then you and I will get together for a 10-minute phone call where you can ask specific questions based on your current situation. Yes, your situation, and specific to your life and what it is you'd like to get out of this course, this program. So before I finish up, there's one story I'd like to share with you. As I was leading a 12-week mindfulness program at a county jail about 6 years ago or so, this was to women who were experiencing incarceration. As we gathered for our class, this one student shared an experience that she had while outside practicing a walking meditation in her free time on the yard. And this student had said that she stopped, she paused, she took a deep breath in, and as she exhaled, she slowly opened her eyes and she gazed out on the barbed wire, the razor wire, and the chain link wire. And she had this overwhelming sense of freedom. She said, an overwhelming sense of freedom came over me. And in this place, she said, I'm able to have freedom still. I'm still able to experience freedom, even though I am behind these bars. And that is a choice. And she said, it's a choice that I make, that I don't have to be imprisoned while I am here. Physically, I might be behind these bars, but mentally and emotionally, I can choose to be free at any time that I want. And so I choose to be free in this moment, right here, right now. And finally, one of my favorite quotes about meditation, it's a quote from Mark Twain. And he says, I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. So again, this is a great opportunity for you, and I hope you join me in this next 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction course. And have a great rest of your day. Take care.